Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves
Summer,
a
everybody.
treat.
I know we're getting closer to Memorial Day. A lot of movies, a lot of summer movies come out. And again, thank you everybody on TikTok. Our videos are doing really well on TikTok platform. Hopefully, Joe Biden doesn't get rid of TikTok. We're finally getting a little bit of traction, and he's getting rid of it now. We'll see. But you guys asked on TikTok, well, what movie can we see? And you guys asked us to review Challengers. So straight from the theater, if you can tell, we're all a little tired. But we just watched a nighttime showing of Challengers, and now we're going to review it direct. It's never happened before that we've watched the movie and then kind of reviewed in real time. But straight from the theater, this is Challengers, starring Zendaya, who, actress, model. She's been in the Spider-Man movies. She's been in the Dune movies. But yeah, this is a little bit of a different movie for her. It's I think the previews the previews are kind of vague for this movie. The previews didn't really, maybe about tennis, maybe a little bit romance, but it's an interesting movie. There's a little bit of drama. There's, a lot of time travel. I know you guys didn't really like too much of the flash forwards.
Too much back and forth. Then you have to concentrate a little bit more. Which scene they left off.
Yeah. And they kind of started right into it, too.
Yeah.
But do these actors and they play tennis so good, or is it the?
So you were impressed with the?
The way they were playing tennis.
If there were any stunts.
Yeah, I think
they definitely had some stunt people, but they definitely were doing a little bit. You could tell certain shots were them. You guys used to play tennis, right?
Yeah, back in the day, but not as good as they were.
No, not as good as them, but you guys did play. Also, if you see, we have a little teapot here. Do you want to explain this real quick?
Oh, this is a ceramic that I bought long time back, and it's a tennis ball, it's a racket, and a
it's a teapot. It's kind of interesting, but then the bracket is all like broken here. It's like the handle, and then tennis shoe here too.
The sneakers.
So we thought that this tells about the challenges. So we got that out.
So first off, we'll talk about the name Challengers. What do you think the name Challenger means to you guys?
I think that is a good name for the movie because there was a big challenge in every which way. Those two guys were challenging each other in the relationship. They were childhood friends,
They challenged each other as childhood rivals, kind of.
Right. So, and we don't want to give out the end, but I think end was very interesting.
I mean, it's we won't get to the ending just yet, but we'll talk about those two actors who,
played and
they
competed.
They weren't too familiar. I was trying to look up what else they've been in. They've done some TV stuff too, but they really did a good job casting like two guys who look like they would be tennis players,
Yeah, and they do look like some of the tennis players of past,
Right.
They have that look.
Yeah.
And I think they do play tennis, otherwise we couldn't have done this.
No, they
They
certainly
played
did.
some varsity or anything.
They must have done some camp or something.
That must have been for casting one of the needs, I think.
I think anytime you have a sports movie,
Right.
you have to do a little bit of familiarity. I know with some of the hockey movies, with Mighty Ducks movies, they had to learn a little bit. They had to go to camp for a few weeks before filming, and that's important. You have to make it look a certain way.
You have to be realistic that you are not just that you can't even hold the racket.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
I think it's a love story, and yet
I'm surprised they didn't go with
triangle.
love triangle, and also in the score when they say love for the score. I'm surprised. I mean, that would have been maybe more of a hokey title, hacky title, love story with love on it. But they went with Challengers. But you like the name? You were saying?
Yeah, I'm okay. To me, it's just reminded of the bad boys of tennis in the past. Jimmy Connors started with, and then McEnroe.
McEnroe's another one. We definitely saw a little bit of that where they're throwing the racket, cursing.
But they never cursing. Yeah, I think they never cursed that. They threw the rackets and.
There was definitely a lot of that in the movie, and they did a good use of sound and music.
Oh my God, the sound was very important.
That's some good songs. I mean, tune-wise, songs and all.
When they played certain type of beat, that means something challenge,
Yeah.
was happening.
No, the music flowed with the scoring of the tennis too. It was interesting.
Not
So-
not just sports. It was more of a relationship between these three.
3 people, yeah.
Is very kind of prominent in this film, and
So we had the 3 characters. So Zendaya's character was Tashi Brown. She was a athlete. We can talk a little bit about her story a little bit. She was obviously a tennis player as well, but then
Pretty good one too, because
one
she
too.
won the junior US Open.
Junior US Open. She had endorsement deals.
Yeah.
She was kind of like the LeBron James kind of, high school tennis age person, and she was getting into Adidas.
But she didn't
Yeah.
So
turn pro,
we
She
were
was
going to
kind
talk.
of-
We have to spoil a little bit, but
Yeah.
unfortunately something happens, and she cannot continue
Play
playing.
anymore.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if we can say all that, but then the relationship is. What do you think? There was love between all of them, all 3, or
So we kind of have to talk a little bit about it. I know you're worried about spoilers, but I think we have to talk a little bit about the fact that if she, she couldn't continue her dreams, so was she really
She was
interested in?
forcing-
So there were the 2 gentlemen. There was a Peter who was more kind of the bad boy, brown hair, kind of. He went to boarding school with Art Donaldson, who was the more fresh faced. He was kind of nicer, innocent. And eventually Zendaya's character starts helping.
No, but I
coach.
think it's because she initially said that whoever will win their match, she will give her phone number to them, So
Yeah, so they
but
don't.
then
They,
the
Competing.
Art didn't win the
he didn't. Well, that's the thing. He didn't.
division.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think Peter was a
better player, but he wasn't. He was
But he
difficult to
was
coach.
not
I think he
very,
didn't really care for the coach.
focused.
Yeah.
He was not mature. He was not focused. He was not very committed to
No.
the sport. But the other guy, Art, was
Art Donaldson.
not a
Yeah.
good player, but
That good.
not as good as him. But he focused. He went all the way, and I think he had the backing of her.
Zendaya was
Zendaya.
Tashi Brown was the name of her
Right,
character.
Tashi's
he-
backing. I mean, she was coaching.
He was
her.
definitely a good player, this Art Donaldson guy, but he definitely, you could tell he wasn't a natural like Peter. Peter was
Yeah.
more of a
But
natural.
he was easily
talent.
coachable and he listened, so that's why.
Whereas
she
Peter was
picked
more
him
stubborn,
over,
and
yeah.
he had that unique serve.
But
He
I
really
think he had a
gifted.
reason to play because he was playing for her,
Yeah,
and that was his. He loved her. He said that many times.
He
But
didn't
clearly-
show, so he came out to be the
But
second. He
then-
finished second in there,
But then I think she liked people who played better than other. Like
I think she was turned on by the tennis.
tennis.
I think that was her role because again,
Right.
she lived, breathed tennis her whole
Yeah.
life, so the tennis kind of was
Tennis
leading her,
was her first
her
love.
romance. Yeah, and it was taken away. She couldn't play
Yeah,
anymore.
and so whoever played good was her romance.
Romance. She kind of was into
I
it, but
think-
also and we're really getting to the storyline now. But initially, Peter and Tashi were dating at one point.
Right.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, and I
And
think
then
there
I
was.
don't know how it got so bad. There were some dialogue.
There was some we're really getting into the nitty gritty
Yeah,
of this
that's
movie,
why,
but we don't want to give too many spoilers. But we can say a little bit. There is some disagreements, and I think the crux of those disagreements, on this topic of was she really in love with them or was it all tennis related? She started arguing because she was criticizing his tennis skills. That was a big thing. She was already coaching before she was even coaching.
Right. I think she was living tennis. I mean,
Yeah,
that
Living
was
and
her-
breathing everything.
Everything
You
was
see a lot of these great athletes or great
Yeah.
actor performers, you have to obsess over one thing to
Yeah.
get good at it, but then it consumes your whole life. You don't have anything else,
Right. I
There was
mean,
also a great line where she says, when he keeps asking, why are you going to college? Why are you going to college? She's like, they have classes there. I want to be able to do something else as well.
Right.
But ultimately she didn't
And
find anything else.
imagine Stanford.
Yeah,
Well,
going to Stanford
So
too.
these are all very intelligent people.
Yeah, even if you don't make it as tennis star, there's still so many other things you can learn how to do, and I think she just. But I think ultimately
Maybe
she.
management and like maybe after finances, because when she married Art,
Yeah.
then he won few champion. The only thing he did in his Grand Slam was
Yeah.
U.S.
US
Open
Open,
was
yeah.
missing, and that's why she was trying to push him so that then.
But it was for that's the thing. Was she really looking for him, or was it to live through vicariously through him? That's the key.
Yeah, well, it is. Yeah.
If you remember, even there's one scene when she's kind of lonely, and that's when Peter magically comes back
Appears.
into her life.
Yeah.
What is on the TV is they're showing that same player that she played against when she had her. She was struggling to continue
Right.
playing, and that they said that the announcer said, "Oh, this athlete, she doesn't have any good competition because Joshi is no longer able
No,
to."
then, yeah.
So there definitely, I think there was the continuing regret of, oh, I didn't continue to. And that to me, that was a big theme beyond the love story was regret, or what could have been, or what should have happened. Oh, why did I go to? She's probably thinking, why did I go to college? If I'd gone pro, maybe I wouldn't have, or at least I would have won a few before getting injured. or
Yeah,
something.
I think the expressions of, let's go to a little bit of
Yeah.
directing, and the way their expressions were shown
Right.
on the screen, when they get frustrated while the game was going on, and
Yeah.
those were really good. Seeing the camera shooting from the
Yeah, great
ground,
cinematography. I think we agree with that.
Yeah.
The music, but just to me, forgot the music for a second. The sound of the ball, the
Right.
way
Yeah,
the
the
grunts.
way-
They really did a good job showing you a
And
different
I
way
think,
tennis was
there
played.
was a
yeah.
glass on the field, and the camera was underneath.
Yeah, they were
sometimes.
using the tennis court lens.
Yeah.
They were giving you different perspectives.
Perspective. I
for the
think
ball.
they did a good job with that.
Because I haven't seen too many tennis. That's the other thing. You try to think of some of the other tennis movies there've been. I
There
know
have been soccer movies.
soccer movies.
So tennis also they have made like
They
a
made like
documentary type.
documentary, but
showing
you're
the
never getting
greatness,
that
yeah,
perspective.
Right.
I think this director did a really good job with the perspective of
Yeah.
And the
making you
way-
feel like you're there.
Right, and
Right
the way
there,
they
yeah.
have to train their body and the
Mhm.
way they have to work out and everything, that is all there,
And it's something a lot of people who don't know too much about tennis, they think, they think it's a very rich game, very non-contact, but there is a lot of physical activity
yeah,
that goes
sure,
into it,
yeah.
the endurance, the cardio that goes
Yeah.
into this game that people don't think about. Knee balance. You're putting so much pressure on your
And the
Footwork.
injuries happen.
injuries. Can
because,
happen. I think this was
Yeah,
a
they
good
end the career, so
we
many
saw in
times.
the movie. Yeah, but I really want to get back to this theme of regret or what could have been. I think that there's a lot of that in this movie. Oh, if I had been with her, or if I had gone tennis, and did this movie kind of remind you of what if in your own lives? Do you ever see that sometimes in the movie, that you see something in a movie and it triggers something in your own life? Are you reminded of anything in your life watching this movie?
Well, we are not, general public doesn't commit to anything that
Yeah.
intense, the way these people
Yeah.
were. I know some of these, gymnasts and all, they are committed
Committed,
to
yeah.
these type of,
Do you think
Life,
when
you know.
Yeah, but for any athletes, if they have to come up and
Yeah,
compete
people
to the
who are
national
training
level
for
and all that, you need
Olympics,
commitment,
Commitment is important. I see that,
Yes.
as I'm pursuing my stand up, I do think sometimes, like, where is that balance between life and obsessing over it?
Right.
So there's a little bit of that. I don't know if you felt that way a little bit with art and all,
Yeah,
your
it
designs.
is. At the young age, when you are doing something, you do feel that, oh, if I would have done it in certain way, would have been different. But basically, one has to be very committed to these things to feel the way they
feel the way they
feeling,
feel, yeah.
you
Like
know.
even though you see all her things, not watching a movie with her daughter, but she was just on his, like matches coming up, so she would review whom he's playing and look at how he's
Yeah.
moving around. So her life was totally
Obsessed over him. She wasn't even obsessing over their kid, yeah.
Yeah, the way like she's seeing that, oh, how's her next opponent is gonna
Yeah,
play,
like
will
what
be
her
his play. I mean, she's
strengths and
studying,
weaknesses, and she would
She's studying more
analyze
than
all
he is.
that. Yeah.
He's the one playing, and she's more
Yeah.
obsessed over this.
But then that's how the coaches do. I think.
I
that
think
then they
yeah.
train.
But to me, a lot of it was living vicarious. She would be
Yeah,
doing this if she was
definitely.
playing.
And once he said that he's going to retire or something, then her life was going to just stop.
Yeah, the way
or
that
something like that she was feeling.
It's so interesting. I mean, and again, we're really getting into, you know, there's this thing of, you know, was he playing for him or was he playing for her? And at one point, she openly says, like, you know, oh yeah, it's okay if I retire, but then she kind of goes back on that, you know.
Yeah.
It's very interesting how this really was. I mean, it's funny if you look at the poster for this movie. Yes, they are the two players, but she's the focal point. Zendaya is the focal point. Tashi is the focal point. It's really her story of how
In many ways,
yeah.
she controlled both of them.
She was manipulated.
And I think
you know.
she has
Yeah.
done a brilliant acting, but her expressions are. She may be a model, but I think she's done.
So
a
she
good
started
acting.
with no. She's been acting for a long time. She was child actor, and I know she has done some modeling campaigns. But yeah, I think people just kind of assume, oh, just pretty face and came from modeling. But this movie in particular, there was a lot of facial acting that was used, a lot of seriousness and the expressive.
different
Because
emotions.
she's not the
and all
one,
that,
you know,
yeah.
especially towards certain scenes where she's just kind of sitting in the middle and watching them play, and you have to really see her reaction
Right.
for
Her
that. It's a
expressions,
very
anger
anger,
and
regret,
despair,
disappointment, yeah,
and
frustration.
everything was there.
Yeah.
And the way it was that she didn't care about anything but tennis and
How it could
Winning,
affect her
how
life.
it-
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Just winning.
Winning tennis and what can I use from tennis to get more success? You know?
and
But then we have the flashback scenes of her too, and you do see a dichotomy of how she's a little more carefree and relaxed in her younger days. You know, they do a lot of And by the way, it's not like they got different actors to play. It's all three of
they're all
them.
there.
They're all
Only
there.
they
Yeah,
changed
not
their,
that younger than
Yeah.
where they were.
They
used a different-
de-aged them, or maybe
Yeah.
did makeup and all to make them look younger. But
Yeah, I think their hairstyle or whatever
Yeah.
they kept changing.
it's very interesting what they did to make them look. They looked younger. though,
Younger, yeah.
You know, so it's very interesting how they aged them when they needed for presidency and when they didn't.
But I think they were not. To me, I don't think they look that old, so they could easily.
I think,
do
but
it.
that's what I'm saying. I think they were younger actors, and they just
Actors,
used
and
them in
yeah,
different. You know, it's
right.
easier to age someone
Yeah.
than young. You know.
Yeah, hairstyle make it different, and you get that look. You know.
And clearly, I think another thing there was I think another theme that was touched on in this movie a little bit, but it wasn't as much, was the idea of class. You know, both of the two gentlemen, Peter and Art. I kept saying Paul, but Peter and Art. They are from a more upper class background, which Peter kind of alludes to living in his car at one point. But it's like, you know, you have money. Why are you?
Yeah.
But he's
Yeah,
doing
he
certain
didn't
things.
go to the parents
He
or
didn't
something.
use parents for help or anything. So you have them coming from that, whereas this was her. She's kind of a Venus, Serena, Tiger Woods type story, where this was her one way out of, you know, poverty, was tennis. You know, so it was very interesting. Her background, you know, she was always about, like, you know, at risk, helping, giving back to the community. Also, she is a person of color, so there's that, you know, there's that stress of being in tennis, of
right.
this country club snooty community is looking down on me. So there's more pressure there too, and I think this film maybe could have explored. I think that's where there could have been a little more exploration of that. You know,
Her childhood could
her
have
childhood. You know, the pressure to reach that kind of.
shown. As it is, they were going back to the past.
Yeah.
They could have gone
They could have
back.
touched on a little bit of
Such
her
a
childhood.
funny thing to say in the middle of this episode. Cinerama is sponsored by tennis themed teapots. Yes. Are you in 1984? Do you want a teapot? Check out tennis themed teapots, the official sponsor of this episode of Cinerama. You can buy one today. If you're in 1984, you can buy one at
Movies that have different themes. This is more of love story and sports story, but you know, they threw in a lot of different things. So my question to you guys is, do you think they should have had more things, or are you happy should they have just kept it on the love story? Some people our reviews were saying, they're shoehorning in race, they're shoehorning in a little bit of comedy here and there. But I think it's good to make a movie complex.
I think it is a very intense relationship plus sports in it. I think it's lots to see in 2 hours anyway.
Yeah, it was a very long movie. Running time is 2 hours 11 minutes.
Yeah, so basically, if you add more things to it, it'll become more complicated.
Right.
And I don't think you can just focus on tennis. How many test match or matches that you're going to show, you know? So then it'll be too monotonous.
It's funny, like the last 30 minutes almost became like just about tennis.
Yeah. So
And
they
whereas
have to
the
focus
beginning-
on that. So that's why they have to show.
They weren't
you know,
showing too much of tennis in the
Tennis,
beginning.
yeah,
like the actual
yeah.
match play. No, we're going to give you almost a full match, which was very. I mean, it kept the movie long, but at one point it almost felt like there were 3 different endings to this movie. Like at one point, I'm like, oh, it's going to end here. No, we kept going. We're going to give you more
And
tennis.
that's where they went back and forth. And
Right.
But I like the end.
You like that
Because
now?
I thought it would be very different, but then again, it ended.
But we
It
don't
is
want to
about
give up.
that
I mean, I think
Tashi, you know, the movie is about her.
about her. I mean, she's the first scene in the movie, and she was the last scene. We're not really giving much away, but it is somewhat of an ambiguous ending for our viewers. You know,
But that ending was.
should they have given a more? Again, I mean, we're not saying what happens, but should it have been a more definitive ending,
No,
or
they
did
should-
you like how it was ambiguous
Leave it
Yeah.
to your.
interpretation?
I like the way they left it.
Because I mean,
But,
to
but
me,
if people who would watch it more carefully, everybody's expression will tell you what exact
What they're looking
ending
for.
was
Yeah.
and exact ending was, you know, because her expression was very important at the end.
because I mean, again, but it was almost as much as she was the focus. I think at the end, the point was that they got back to being friendly with each other. There was almost a happy ending in that way, where they were playing for each other at the end. You know, because they started out together.
They
being-
understood
each
that
other.
what was happening.
Yes.
there. That they were losing the interest.
They were losing the
because
friendship,
of,
yeah.
because of something else.
Yeah.
Actually, they lost friendship.
They lost friendship for years, and I think in the end there was some satisfaction of, hey, they're becoming closer to being friends again. I think to me, that's where the satisfaction was. That's what they truly challenged. It was a challenge of their friendship as well.
Yeah.
It was almost fate that they got to, you know, be in this.
Yeah,
tournament
maybe especially
together.
in the tournament, but may come meet in the finals. you know,
And
that would
specifically
be-
meet in the finals too, which we don't
And I
think.
think the Peter was looking at where he was going to be. So
where is he
probably-
going to be? Where is he going to go from this?
So that's why he came to this tournament. I
Well,
believe.
he was struggling, as
Yeah.
we know. But you know, there was a good line that he said where it's like, "You live in these. I'm more about U.S. Open. I'm trying to you maintain
Right,
my
yeah.
top status. You are lucky if you place." You know, it just
Art
shows the
said
ranking.
that,
Yeah.
But he was a better player.
But that's the thing. You know, there's so many people who are naturally more gifted at something, but they don't do the business side. They don't do the fundamentals.
that-
No, and
It
sometimes
tells
it
a lot
happens when
about-
many people, they are like in sports, I
Yeah,
can talk
sports.
definitely, that there have been many, they have been great and up to college level, you know, but when it comes to professional,
It's a whole
they-
different game.
yeah, that's a bust, you know. Even if they are number one in each, all sports you'll say, number one selection, bust, you know, didn't even make it to 2 years, 3 years. Maybe injury might be, but
And sometimes it's a
Sometimes
mental
it's a
game.
mental-
It's the
Exactly,
cocky
yeah.
one. Yeah.
pro is not totally different from going around in
You see all these
colleges and
people
all
are
this, yeah.
high school now. They're
Yeah.
high school athletes, and sometimes they're getting called to the pros. And I think there is a push for people to stay in college or at
college
least
for a
deal with
mature,
that.
yeah, maturity level, yeah.
I think it's all about confidence and maturity more than
Commitment, I think.
more
is,
than
yeah.
how a good player one is
Yeah,
to
no.
get to those levels.
Natural gift is good, but it only will take you so far.
Right.
Work ethic comes
Like
in the
Michael
fundamental.
Jordan was very committed.
Yeah,
And
very
see, Michael Jordan
focused,
finished all
very
4 years of
disciplined.
college.
yeah.
There are, you can count on your two hands, you know, like
How many people?
how many
finish
from
well?
straight from high school.
I think Michael's a good example of someone who maybe he was a gifted athlete, but he had to work hard
Work
to
hard,
overcome
at
it
every level.
at
yeah.
every level. Yeah,
And
because
he didn't forget anybody who made a comedy.
he really didn't. He's a
We're
good.
getting off base now, yeah.
No, but I think it there shows there's people who work hard. There's some
Yeah.
people with natural ability, and some people who don't have natural ability, but they
Yeah.
can still work around it.
True.
Same thing with sort of, artistic abilities, I see that sometimes in comedy, some people are more naturally funny and you get certain things, but it's also about the work you put in
Right.
too, in every discipline. It's very interesting how that stuff works, yeah. But, so it's definitely with Zendaya, who's sort of the star of this, a lot of people are saying, she's just been in the Spider-Man movies. There was an allusion to Spider-Man at one point in the movie, which was great. But a lot of people think she just pretty face doesn't really. But I thought she did a really good job with her.
Very good.
She's playing multiple facets of at different ages of the character she's playing, and it's
Right.
very complex.
Well, she's all playing a mom and a wife and her.
but also someone who never got. You can really see in her
Yeah.
eyes like, hey, I want to do more with this. When she's tracing out the ad campaign.
Yeah.
You're seeing that like she's really trying to live through this, and you see that why it becomes that way the further the movie goes. Like, she regrets she couldn't do this, but she's still trying to do it. And Art, who truly cares about it, was trying to do this for her. But then that
See, she was the coach and the manager
and manager,
and PR and everything for.
she was running all the heads
Yeah.
of that. It's
it's
very
a-
complicated.
They didn't show when they got married.
That's the thing, where there were a lot of. So I think one thing we do want to touch on for people who haven't seen it is there are a lot of flashbacks back and forth. I think we all are in mutual agreement there was maybe an overkill of the flashbacks.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they did try to label everything. There was a lot of
They
stuff.
could tie some loose ends, as to where.
But it got a little overwhelming. You're going back and forth here. Then they're literally leading up to the day of that thing,
Final.
and those flashbacks are happening at the end too. So, but I think it was a bit of an overkill.
Right.
We would agree, yeah.
But it's a good movie to go and see.
And I think seeing in theater was good because again the sound was good, the
Right.
music.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I looked up some of the music was composed. This guy Trent Reznor, who was part of the band Nine Inch Nails, he does a lot of film scoring now. He did the Facebook movie Social Network. He scores, so he scores a lot of different movies. So I think the music, like we talked about, the intensity of who's has the advantage in the game, but also who has the advantage in life. I think the music really was the accompaniment to the metaphor
very
for.
nice sound and the music.
But also, it was used to accompany the love scenes as well.
It is a good
back and forth up there.
On this special episode of Cinerama. Are you a self-indulgent model? Are you kind of modest and you wish you could be more self-indulgent and more selfish? You need personalized metal for you. Yes, this metal will boost your ego, give you a sense of vanity, make you be the most vapid, vain model ever. You need self-indulgent metal. Yes. From the makers of Up Your Own Ass Head. Yes. It's Up Your Own Ass Head and self-indulgent metal. For all the vain, vapid people in your life. And now an official sponsor of Cinerama with Papa and Mama. Now back to our
Starting
episode.
to wrap up here, any final thoughts on the movie, or maybe a little more on Zendaya? I know Zendaya gets this rap of being model, child actor, but to me, she did a great job in this movie. I think we're
Yeah.
in agreement on that. But I know you also did a lot of acting, modeling back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, we did it in college.
Do you feel like you related to her story?
Actually, it was. We were not professional
No.
models. We were just doing as a student,
Student.
to raise funds. So basically.
Was this to raise funds for the school, or you got to
No,
keep some?
actually-
Hopefully, you get to keep some of them.
No, actually, this was for
Charity.
Bangladesh refugees.
Oh, okay, so it was for charity.
For charity, yeah. We
What was
had
the
Relief
campaign?
fund.
Relief.
relief fund. Actually, there were a lot of Bangladesh refugees living
that
around the border of India and Bangladesh.
Yeah.
So for that,
That's how Bangladesh was formed.
Right.
They wanted to.
so basically, we did a
separate
fashion
from
show
Pakistan,
to raise
so
funds
that's
for
it.
Bangladesh refugees.
So you did it was a more fashion show than okay.
Oh yeah.
So different outfits.
Different outfits and many other things we did.
Did you enjoy modeling, or did you find that world too vain?
No,
and
it was a
vapid?
lot of fun.
Yeah.
And we were given those outfits to take home.
Oh, you were allowed to. That was your pain.
And they were really well tailored and
Yeah.
very smart, outfits. And so the shoes and the bags and all the outfits we could have, and that was the biggest
Goodie
fun,
bag, right?
yeah.
I mean, that anytime I do a performance, you know me, try to get goodie bags. I brought N95 masks home for you guys from Green Room. So I think it's important to, if you're at a photo shoot, charity event, wherever, if you get something free, you take. You know, always got to do that. But it's just interesting because you hear about the world of modeling, very vapid, you know, very problematic. People are treating women like piece of meat. Did you feel any of that even in the charity fashion
actually,
show?
no,
Was
that
it
was
good
just,
vibes?
Yeah, that was all university
Sponsored, so they have to be
sponsored,
more.
and
Yeah.
they were very
When you get
casual
anything
about it.
like college level is one thing,
Yeah,
till
it
you
wasn't
become into
professional,
pros, you know,
yeah.
so it's
Different in the pros, which is a theme of challengers.
Right, so basically it was very laid back, not like
no
usual.
competition.
No.
I don't think there was
competition.
competition, you know, so.
So basically, it was a good movie.
Good movie, good fashion show.
Good.
Zendaya's great. Maybe Oscar nomination. We'll see. It's a little early for
I
that. That's
doubt it that
And
level, but yeah.
and your tea kettle came handy from 2000.
Yeah, it's a tea kettle.
yeah. How old is this thing?
1984. I think.
1984, 40 years old.
It's older than
Teapot.
me.
Yeah. It's a teapot.
Yeah.
You put your
Do we still
tea
use it,
in.
or is it too
No.
old?
No,
we
I
don't
mean,
use
it's
it.
a showpiece.
I can't use it.
You can use it.
I'll use it.
Yeah, you have to put those tea leaves in.
And put the tea leaves and then.
Old fashioned where you boil.
I challenge myself. I will make that tea in that pot. We'll do that. But again,
Like you could challenge yourself for many different things.
yeah, I challenge myself to use that teapot. I challenge myself to do the show for one more week. We've never done 3 in a row, everybody, but we are going to have an episode next week. But again, to wrap up here, challengers we do recommend, right?
Yeah, we
thumbs
do.
up.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up, we recommend challengers. We appreciate you guys recommending. If you'd like to recommend more movies to us, Cinerama Papa Mama on Instagram, cineramapapamama@gmail.com or TikTok. Tell us in the comments if you want us to see a movie. We'll figure it out. We have Blu-ray, DVD, you know, all that stuff. Maybe we'll review older movies too, newer movies. But we'll be doing another episode next week, closer to Memorial Day. But check out the movies, guys. Be safe out there. Try to stay cool.
Okay.
Get some AC. We're a little stuffy here, but
Enjoy the summer.
enjoy the summer, everybody. Take care. Bye.
Let's all go to the lobby.